So a lot of numeracy coaches will look sideways at you and will give circles a bad rap. But I love the circle model for fractions. I think it's just as valuable almost as fraction walls, fraction stackers, fractions of collections with two-sided counters and pom-poms. As long as you're using not just the circle model, you're using a range of representations, the circle model can be a really powerful one, particularly for improper fractions and comparing fractions. I think fraction walls are probably better for equivalence. So anyway, when you're using the circle model though, especially with Play-Doh, the important part is the circles need to be the same size. And one consistent way to get them the same size is to use these lids that the mini Play-Doh tubs come with. So I always get the mini tubs because then you get a stack of lids with them. The students can just peel the Play-Doh into the lid, gently peel it off, and then the holes should be very close to the same size. And that way, when they're comparing, say, 3/4 with 2/3, you cut 3/4, and they'll need to cut it accurately, obviously, but that's part of the challenge. That's not perfect, so we could try again, but it might be good enough for this comparison. And then 2/3, and you sort of eyeball it and go, where do I need to cut to make it so that it's going to be equal? The great thing about Play-Doh, though, is if you make a mistake, you just put it back in the lid, and it's pretty quick to fix the mistake. So we can see now, if we grab a 1/3 piece and a 1/4 piece, and my quarters are slightly askew, but I'll grab an average size piece of both. The third is just that little bit bigger than the quarter, just by a touch, but it's just big enough difference to sort of go, yeah, I want that piece, not that piece, if this was yummy chocolate. But if I wasn't happy with my quarters, which I really wasn't, so I'm going to go again, put it back in, flip it back over, make sure the quarters are a bit more accurate in terms of half of half. Still not perfect, but we do say, fractions have to be exactly fair, but we are working with Play-Doh. Then you can see even clearer now that the quarter is less than the third. So I love Play-Doh. It's low stakes mistakes. So if you make a mistake, it takes literally a few seconds to roll it back in and fix it. Really valuable insights you get into students' understanding. The classic is you ask them to cut thirds like we did there with the capital Y type of model, and they will pretty much, a lot of them cut in half to cut in thirds first because they've been drilled in half, quarters, eighths. So that's a really common misconception when you start this Play-Doh investigation. But yeah, just really great, the mini Play-Doh tubs, because you can get a stack fairly cheap. They last a long time generally. And that way every student can have a few of the same color, or different students can be using different colors next to each other. So it's really clear whose fraction belongs to who when we're comparing by rolling on our fraction out of mats. So that's fraction circles with Play-Doh.